Okay, so green button. Can I start? Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. I'm Francesca Terranova. I come from the University of Turin, and this is some preliminary results about my PhD project. Sorry, that is about the passive acoustic monitoring of African penguins to conserve them, basically. Just briefly, the African penguin is an endangered species. They are baroness.
Sorry, Francesca, can you just speak into the mic? I don't think they can hear you online.
Yes, sorry. So the African penguin is a barrow-nesting bird, and it inhabits the coast of South Africa and Namibia. Now it's considered endangered, but some recent publications suggested that should be considered critically endangered, and everything is due basically to human activities. So since it breeds in colonies, they use the vocalization for basically everything, for the social interaction, for the parent-offspring relationship, for the pair relationship. And this is the vocal repertoire. This is composed by calls and song. The song are basically composed by different syllables. The contact call is for cohesion call. The agonistic call is for aggressive behavior. The ecstatic display song is for territorial defense, and instead the mutual display song is emitted by couples. The begging are emitted by chicks and juvenile. So since this species has a barrow nesting behavior, it's really important to know that it's not so easy to survive them visually. I mean, it's not so easy to count the nests since they are barrow nesting. And for this reason, passive acoustic monitoring could be really useful because we could use autonomous record units to recording the soundscape, the vocalization emitted by this species, and then infer some information about their population, for example. And most importantly, this is a non-invasive method because we have not to walk inside the colony, we have not to manipulate the penguins, we have just to place our recorders and then analyze in front of a laptop forever. But so the aim of this study is explore the relationship between the vocal activity of the African penguins and the nest density. So in order to do this, we choose the Stony Point Nature Reserve, in which there is a male and African penguin colony that is composed about 1,500 of breeding pairs. And it's important to know that this colony is composed by different habitats because we have rocks and sands, but also dune spinach, so dense vegetation, and shrubs with Baccharis amplifolia. So this is important also to understand the context in which we recorded. For our recording, we choose the sound meter Micro 1, and we placed 10 of them around the colony. Basically, the data collection was done from February to April 2024, and the scheduled time that we decided was based on a previous study about the vocalization of African penguins that showed that the peak of the vocal activity of this species was during basically sunrise and sunset. In total, we recorded in 101 sampling sites because every week we place the sound meter, and the week after just shift in another place. And about instead the counting of the nest, we choose a 10-for-10 grid, basically for some transmission tests that we did about our recorder. And in total, we recorded around 13,000 of 30 minutes recordings. So this is the African penguins, is known as Jacob's penguin, and now I think you know why. And this is the ecstatic display song. So this is the longest song that they emitted, basically for territorial defense, but also to attract mates. And as you can see, it's composed by syllable. We have the A syllable that is a lot of in which that is repetitive in the song, the B syllable that is the longest one, and the C syllable that is the inspiration syllable. So in order to assess the vocal activity of this species, we choose the excited display song because they emitted them during breeding season, especially basically every day. And we choose to detect the B syllable, assuming that one B syllable corresponding to one ADS, because basically the majority of the excited display song is composed by just one syllable. And we use a custom-built convolutional neural network to identify the B syllable. Instead, concerning the nest counting, every week when we place the recorder, we also visually check the area of 10 for 10 grid and searching for active nests. An active nest is, of course, a nest in which there is a penguin. This is the most obvious, but also it was not there was not so often this condition. And then we consider the active nest also if there is traces guano presence. So these are all examples of active nest. Some results. So basically, the vocal activity rate varies between sample and sites, and we wanted to test this relationship through a generalized linear mixed model in which we used the vocal activity rate and wanted to see if the number of the nests and the habitat influence the vocal activity of the penguins using as random factors the recorder and the week. And the results showing that the full model, so the model with the nest number and the habitat, basically outperformed the null model. So the number of active nests positively influenced the vocal activity rate, and at the same time, so also the habitat influenced the vocal activity rate. So the first result that I want to discuss is that yes, there is a relationship between the vocal activity rate and the nest. And the second one is the more tricky, is the relationship between habitat and vocal activity rate. For sure, shrubs and rocks influence more the vocal activity rate because also are the area in which the more penguins are present. At the same time, the not significant results of spinach, so of dense vegetation, could be linked to the fact that there was some discrepancies between the count of the nest in dense vegetation and also the vocal activity rate. And just to do an example, this was an area in which we counted the nests and in which we found some discrepancies. So there were no counted nests in the majority of this area. However, we detected the vocal activity rate in different sampling sites. So the take-home message is basically that passive acoustic monitoring could be a reliable method to assessing the penguin presence, and especially could be useful in the area in which we have dense vegetation, because in this place it's really difficult to count the nest. You have to imagine that, it's like a labyrinth. You cannot walk, of course, in the vegetation because you could just destroy the nest. And so could be a really important methodology to use to assess if the penguins are present in this area. And the future direction that we want to take is basically to try to use the vocal activity rate to estimate also the density of the nest around the recorder in order to use just passive acoustic monitoring to infer how if the population, for example, is moving, so is increasing or decreasing in the area that we study. So I want to thank all the penguin crew that make it possible, basically all the students, the ranger, my supervisor, the technician, and also thank to you for your attention, and this is my contact if you're interested.
Thank you so much for your talk on such an important species that we're really, really hoping to get back from the brink of extinction. We have time for questions. If anybody has a question for Francesca. Anything online? Oh, Lauren.
Hello, thank you for your talk. It was very interesting. My question was just about the picture that you show. I think we could see kind of a lot of houses around the houses. It was like a village close to the colony or something like that. Is there like an impact of for the colony to be so close to like I don't know, civilization or anything like that? So is there an impact on the colony, like they are so close to like a house and village and everything, or it's maybe not very related to your presentation, but
No, basically yes. I mean there are a lot of houses around the colony, and also penguins really like to have the nest in the private house of people. So there is a little problem of conflict, of course, between the people of the Stony Point and the African penguins. But the majority of them just decide to choose the area of the Stony Point Nature Reserve, also maybe because it's quieter, I think. Some penguins have the nests along the streets, but there are all the rangers that monitor this nest, and there is, really activity in order to mitigate this problem between the cities and the penguins.
Because I think there is a problem with predation as well on the nest. And do you think it would be possible to use like PAM, or maybe the penguins do call before, like because of predation of this kind of thing? Do you think it would be a solution?
The predation problem is not the main problem, but happens sometimes. Mainly the problem are the gull that hit the eggs. Sometimes I think that could be possible to see if there is if the penguins emit some calls during predation. Yes, I am not sure that this will happen, because they just try to escape. They really don't stay and start to scream about the predation. The first reaction of a penguin is just escape away from the danger. So I don't know if this could be possible. But why don't try?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.